Welcome to Two Across, the podcast where two friends on opposite sides of the Atlantic catch up over a crossword. I am Theo in London.
And I am Rob in Montreal.
And welcome back after our winter hiatus.
Yeah.
How is yours?
Ooh, yeah, that's a loaded question. Yeah, it was, I would say action-packed, but it wasn't action-packed. It was just novelty-packed, maybe, is the best way to say it, because obviously I was on that retreat for 5 days. So that was, yeah.
Your meditation retreat.
Yeah, exactly.
Tell us about that.
Okay, it was at a place called the Insight Meditation Society in Barrie, Massachusetts. It's in western Massachusetts in the woods. It's very nice. It's a lovely location. They bought in the late 70s, 49 years ago apparently, because the birthday was last week, an old seminary. And it's this big sort of red brick colonnaded building, but it has obviously, or had originally a space for prayer and dormitories, which is sort of exactly what you need for a meditation retreat, because they've converted, I guess, the prayer space into a large meditation hall, and then the dormitories are for the retreatants. So this is the second retreat that I've done there. This one was 5 days. The last time I think I sat a 6-day retreat, and it is a silent Vipassana-style meditation retreat. Yeah, so you got there on Friday night 2 weeks ago, and the rule is once you arrive in the meditation hall for the first sit, then noble silence descends. And that means no talking, no writing, and no reading for the duration of your stay until the last day when silence is broken. And you spend those days in meditation. So you do multiple sits a day starting at 6 a.m., punctuated by different meals and walking practice. So you sort of do an equal balance of sitting and walking practice, and then the teachers that are there do various talks. And you also are, let's say, encouraged to do some sort of service while you're there. So a lot of the activities or chores that need to be done to keep the place running are done by the retreatants themselves. So you could do dishwashing or floor cleaning or toilet cleaning, or you could ring the bell to announce the different meditation moments, all kinds of things like that. I mean, they have a lot of staff as well, cooking all the food and everything, but yeah.
It sounds very wholesome and nourishing of both body and mind, and about as far away from my last 2 weeks as it's possible to get.
You were out in the mountains.
I was out in the mountains.
France.
Well, we started in Paris, and I'm laughing because your description of being in that kind of monastic peace. I'm just going to present you with my situation roughly a week ago when I was sitting on the Eurostar train to Paris, sat at our table, unbundled the rowdiest hen party you could ever wish to encounter. Sashes, penis straws, all the paraphernalia took their seats just adjacent to ours. Kate and I sort of exchanged looks like, oh God, this is going to be a long, long journey.
Yeah.
Then the train doesn't leave at the allotted time. We sort of think, okay, well, it's probably just a bit of a delay, whatever. It doesn't matter. Anyway, we sit there for about 20 minutes, listening to the
cackling of the hens.
The cackling of our hennish neighbours.
Yes.
Or maybe hellish neighbours would be more accurate. Anyway, they're getting increasingly pissed and raucous, and all the while the train isn't moving. Long story short, so the train has had some kind of fundamental mechanical breakdown.
Okay.
And sits in the station for a further 2 hours. 2 hours, Rob. While, we're trying to sort of keep the children occupied, keep our sanity intact, and the hen party continues to cause chaos. And eventually the driver makes an announcement that we're all going to have to leave the train and get onto another train in, of course, our exact same allocated seats, which we do. And then finally we set off, and thank God for in-ear earbud headphones.
Yeah.
Because that is pretty much all that kept me from having a serious nervous breakdown. at the very beginning of our
What did
holiday.
The kids make of this?
Well, the kids, as always, I mean, they have this amazing ability, don't they, to sort of compartmentalize their brains. So to them, this noise was it's just in the background. It was just a bit of a weird thing that was going on in the seats next to us. Whereas to me, and I'm particularly sensitive to loud noises. I'm not a big fan of cacophonous environments. It was like some kind of torture. But we did, as I say, eventually get out of there and made it to Paris. And Paris was lovely. But then, of course, being a half-term holiday, the kids had brought all these bugs home from school. Kate then went down with this pretty horrible kind of like cough and flu-y thing. So bless her, being very stoic, unlike myself, she dragged herself around the sights of Paris. And then when we subsequently went to the Alps, she managed to get herself out onto the ski slopes, and she was, she was amazing. I mean, hats off to her. The one person, and I felt terrible for her because she really needed a break, and of course spent the whole week.
The situation was not providing this break.
The situation was not providing this break. However, all that being said, we did manage to have a very nice time together and stayed in this really nice little kind of lodgy type place in, or quite near Annecy in the Alps, which was just lovely. And the weather was great, and it was all very sort of wintry, but also very clear and bright and sunny and all of that. It was a success all round. Nice. And then the journey home, mercifully, was smooth. And French trains, my God, they put ours in the shade. They are so good and so efficient and so quiet. We went from this cacophonous nightmare on the Eurostar to this, I mean, not dissimilar to your monastic retreat on the Tegeray, where everybody was sitting on the top deck just in total and utter silence, which is a completely different stress. Because then when you've got young kids, you're like, oh, God, nobody say anything. So that was sort of differently stressful, but a much preferential stress to that on the Eurostar. Anyway, I've gone on about noisy trains enough, and I want to hear more about your last fortnight, because after the meditation retreat, you've been at home. You don't have half term, do you, in Canada? It's not quite the same sort of thing.
We don't have the number of half terms. We actually do have what's called spring break next week, but it is very far from spring right now where I am. So we're actually going to do very little. We're going to go to Quebec City for 2 or 3 days because Isabel's sister lives there. But other than that, we're going to be hunkering down here because we did the long Spanish trip. So justifying another long trip didn't seem in the cards at this moment in history. So what we've been largely doing here is digging out. We received in a 3-day stretch last week something like 74 centimeters of snow. So sort of 3/4 of a meter. And it was significant. I mean, the city was almost paralyzed by this amount of snow. So the second dump happened while I was in Massachusetts at this retreat, and I came back and Montreal was like Armageddon. There was just sort of snow piled up everywhere. It's crazy.
Incredible.
So doing a lot of shoveling in the last few days. Yeah.
So this is the sort of last vestiges of the Canadian winter. You're going to get this massive pile of snow, and then presumably within about a month or two, it's going to be beginning to...
It's possible. March is always dicey. So you probably heard the tradition of Groundhog Day, where the groundhog sees the shadow or doesn't, that lengthens or shortens the length of the winter, and I can never remember which way it goes. But that is how it is here. You sort of pray for winter to end quickly, and you're willing to even rely on the prognostication of a rodent to support whatever your favorite hypothesis hope. Is. Yeah, exactly. This is the depth of our depression this time of year, that we're willing to put it all on a groundhog. But March can be really either or. So the litmus test in Montreal is the St. Patrick's Day parade, because we obviously have a big Irish community historically in Montreal.
Yeah.
And I've had St. Patrick's Day parades where we've been sitting on the deck, or the terrace, as it were, of a bar, drinking pints of Guinness with the sun shining down on us, 12, 13 degrees. For us in the spring, that's terrace weather. And I've had St. Patrick's Day parade where it's been minus 15. The kids have been in snowsuits, up to their heads with only their beady little eyes showing. And we're freezing our butts off watching the floats go by. So you really can't judge. I mean, you can literally have that significant a difference, like 30 degrees or more between one year and another on that date. But generally speaking, by the end of March, winter's on its way out. And by April, it's sort of dog shit season. I think I'd mentioned that before. Where
when all the feces that has previously been buried under the 3 feet of snow is then gloriously revealed. And presumably pristinely restored by having been frozen. So,
oh, yeah, like petrified, you know? It looks sort of fossilized in some sort of way. Sometimes it has like a fur that grows on it. It's really something. But April, not the time to come to Montreal, because the other thing is just like road grit, because they put a lot of little pebbles down for purchase on icy streets. So it's just grit everywhere, dog shit. None of the foliage is growing yet. It's pretty vile in the city. Outside of the city is quite nice, but by late April, we're properly springing. It is. It's a rough go here. But last year, I have to say, by mid-April, it was proper spring and everything was cleaned up. This year, I doubt that's going to be the case just because of the amount of snow we have.
Yeah.
But today is, I think, going to be 4 degrees and raining, whereas this time last week was minus 14 and not raining. So
yeah,
this is the swingy season.
Yeah.
Anyway,
we don't downplay our own despair in the UK about winter, and we get to this time of year and like, oh, when will it end? But I mean, this is absolutely child's play compared to what you're dealing with. We've got obviously no snow. It's actually quite bright and clear today. There's bulbs popping up through the ground. We've got nothing to complain about. I mean, there's still lots of dog shit, but that's not because that's not because of the snow. That's just because there's just lots of dog shit. But apart from that, we don't have anything like your extremes. And we've talked about this before on the pod, but how that sort of impacts you psychologically as well is quite interesting.
It does, and it probably, for a nice neat little segue, explains our obsession with the sport of ice hockey, because during a dark time, it's the one thing that unites us all. And so Hockey Night in Canada on Saturday night, originally on the CBC with the likes of Bob Cole, my namesake, announcing the play, Foster Hewitt of yore, Dick Irvin, all the greats who regaled Canadians in their living rooms during those cold months. And on the hockey subject, there was a very significant hockey game last week, which Canada won.
I read about this, and this felt like a very sort of apropos metaphor for global events, that Canada managed to overcome the USA in this highly, highly significant and politically charged match.
It's difficult to undersell how important that was for Canada, and the whole country were just hanging on this thing, because the U.S. had probably the strongest U.S. side I have ever seen. I mean, they're dominant at every position, easily a match for Canada, if not a better team, frankly. What Canada has that the U.S. doesn't is a few superstar level talents, like global all-world talents. Their top 2 centers, which is the most important forward position, are no one in the world is better than them. And that's, Canada didn't have the depth through the lineup the US had and the depth of strength at every position, but they had superlative ability at the top 2 positions. And that's actually what won it, because the world's best player, Connor McDavid, scored the overtime winner about 11 minutes into the overtime to cap it off for Canada. And it was huge, because obviously with the geopolitics and Canada feeling that it's just taking a daily beating from the United States, getting that win, and Trump had apparently personally called the American team the morning of to sort of encourage them and whatever. And there's a very funny clip from one of the U.S. defensemen where they asked him what Trump said. And he said, I don't know, we just sort of talked, you know, the way he does. He talked about golf, and then he talked quite a bit about himself. I sort of blacked out, to be honest.
Yeah, that's Trump in a nutshell.
It was also like, this is an American defenseman. I found that very irreverent. You're talking about the leader of your country.
Well, our Prime Minister is meeting him today as we speak to and somehow talk some sense into him over Ukraine. But anyway, let's not depress ourselves further with mention of that name. Let's move on to the crossword, because...
Yeah, let's do that.
We should. Motor.
Let's go to the crossword, because crossing words is fun.
So where are we, Theo? Where are we today? What number we got?
Good question. We are at Guardian Quick Crossword number, I think, 17,100, which is a lovely round number.
It is a lovely round number. Oh, speaking of lovely round numbers, just to call something out,
Oh, yeah,
and this
go on.
obviously betrays how long it takes us to edit it, but I believe today we are 02/25, 2025.
Oh, that's lovely.
Little numerology.
Yeah.
That's kind of nice, isn't it?
It's funny when these kind of dates happen, this idea that this is the last time for however many millennia that we'll be able to say that all the numbers in the date align.
020202, yeah.
020202, yeah, and it's sort of it's just an ordinary day. It's ultimately meaningless, but somehow it sort of reminds one of the yawning chasm that is eternity, and
Yes.
how brief our little dance upon this earth
How
is.
brief this mortal coil.
This mortal coil, indeed.
Yes.
Speaking of mortal coils, we are doing very, very badly in our crossword efforts this season.
We are two pathetic mortal coils struggling
We are
with
two pathetic mortal
crosswords.
coils, and I have, I think, worked out the correct scores this week because I gave them incorrectly last time, as I am wont to do, and I do believe we are 12-6 down. We need to channel the spirit of the Canadian hockey team and get one over on the cocky superiority of the Guardian quick crossword setter, who I do agree with you last time that I've done a few of these over the break and they are getting harder. They're definitely,
Yeah, I feel like
they've got an edge to them now that I
do.
don't think was there a few months ago. Look, we just have to, as we always do, take it as it comes, roll with whichever punches we are inevitably punched with, and attempt to overcome. So I'm going to start our timer off. 30 minutes.
Reminder to people, we do this sight unseen. We have never seen this crossword before. If you want to play along, click on the link in the show notes or go to Guardian Quick Crosswords on your favorite browser and look for crossword 17,100. That's the quick crossword that we do. And I believe today's crossword of record, you did intro, ergo crossword of record is it mine?
No, it's mine. It's whoever did the intro. So this came about for new listeners because we had a couple of occasions where there was a typo in one of our crosswords, so we had to sort of come to the decision that one of us each week would have the crossword of record, and if ours is wrong, then the whole thing is wrong. So this week that is me, and we're off 30 minutes. Where do you want to go?
Let's start near the bottom. Let's go 16 down. Is a 6-letter word for an old 10p.
Now, this takes us back to a conversation from a few episodes ago about old money.
It does.
Because I had quite an in-depth conversation with my in-laws about this over Christmas and the sort of ludicrousness of the terminology of old money. And now I need to try and remember which of the threepennies and halfpennies and bobs and half bobs and God knows what else this old 10p might be.
There's only one thing that fits. So I was thinking a shilling, a crown, halfpenny, and so forth. And a guinea does fit.
Oh, Rob, yes. Let's go guinea. Let's go guinea.
What do you think?
I'm quite well. Yeah, I'm really impressed and quite ashamed that of the two of us, it was the Canadian who got that.
The Canadian who's read a little bit of Charles Dickens in his defense.
And does have an English mother, lest we forget. Yeah. I'll let myself off the hook on that one. All right, should we go? Now, this is an interesting one. 17 across. Yawn of the town? Question mark. And it's 10 letters with a fourth letter of U. Assuming, by the way, Guinea is spelled Guinea. Yeah?
That's what I put in.
Okay, good. Yawn of the town. So someone who's a sort of notorious bore. Is that right?
Yeah, I would assume.
Can't think of anything off the top of my head.
No.
It might be a play on something, because obviously talk of the town would be something gossipy, so something the opposite of gossip, but I can't think of what that might be.
Yeah, very difficult.
Okay. Should we...
Let's wander about. Take us somewhere else.
All right, so we got a couple of double worders on the board. Let's try and get one of those. 5 down, head over heels. 5-5.
Yeah.
Topsy-turvy doesn't
It does fit.
White. It fits. Does it work with the clue?
Not sure.
We could try it.
The one thing that would give me pause would be the V from Turvey would give us U space V in our very long yawn of the town.
Which isn't impossible, but...
Curve has a U space V, but...
Unlikely. There's another way we can test it, which is if we can get 11 across, which is paid solver 7-3.
Paid solver.
So I think that might be something along the lines of a something spy or a private eye.
Oh, yes.
And that does work with topsy-turvy.
Oh, so it's still in the running. Okay. Yeah, you got your Y there.
So let's keep it for now.
Oh, here you go. Here's another letter I think that we can get for cheap, and I think it's going to continue to validate your theory, Theo. 9 across is a cold Spanish soup, 8 letters long.
Gazpacho.
I think so.
Gazpacho?
I guess. I'm just trying to remember in Spanish how you make a ch sound happen. I think you're right, because it is gazpacho for the Spanish, and so that would put your Z in the running. And CHO makes sense to me.
Yeah. Well, let's stick with that.
All right.
3 across, program where celebrities interviewed. 4-4.
Talk show?
Well, you would think, wouldn't you? But it does throw out topsy-turvy.
Oh, no.
Oh, no, chat show.
Chat show. Yeah, of course we're.
Chat show.
Yeah.
Okay, so I think we're on track.
Okay, so topsy-turvy would seem to work.
7 down, old brackets, golf club. 4 down, W blank O blank. Could be wood.
Yep. Why would that be old, though?
Because the old clubs used to be made of hickory. They were entirely wood.
They were made of wood.
So, and also these days, even though they're called woods, they're actually all made of metal, aren't they? So
they are.
I think that does work.
Titanium and tungsten and different rare earth metals or whatever. God knows, whatever gimmick they're...
Whatever they're mining in Chile.
Yeah. We put tantalum across the face, which creates an explosive reaction with the golf ball when it connects
which may
with
be
the
sinking
ball.
our planet, but at least it's meaning you can hit the ball 5 yards further.
Yeah, huge.
6 down is white, 4 letters, H blank, C blank.
And now you read that out as though it had a question mark after it, but it doesn't. It's just white. It's just a straight white. Nothing is coming to me. H space, C space.
No. We might have to come back to that.
The second one has to be a vowel.
Yeah.
And the last letter can only really be an E, a K, a T, but I don't think that's going to work.
No. Let's come back to it.
Okay. Elysium, 4 down.
Oh,
H space, A space, E space.
So,
Theo's got
presumably that's heaven.
I think that's what fits, yeah. Okay, 15 across, taking the U from topsy-turvy, Theo, is an inner light Christian, 6 across. And I met one of these at their meditation retreat.
Of course you did.
Very nice lady.
Great place for an inner light Christian. I'm not quite sure what an inner light Christian is.
Well, they like to make oats and furniture.
Oh, right. Oh, like a Quaker.
Yeah.
Because my beloved late aunt was a Quaker. And
was she?
I have great fondness for the Quakers. And
as do I.
Also, weren't they behind Cadbury's chocolate? That was... The Quakers are big in chocolate.
Yeah, that makes sense to me.
If I say Cadbury's, I think just chocolate in general.
Yeah.
It was the Quakers that sort of brought it to the masses. Apparently, and I know this because I happened across a documentary about the history of Cadbury's the other day, and it was to try and wean people off the booze. So they thought, yeah. So they thought hot chocolate as a drink would be a good alternative to gin. You can ask any parent of young children that it is not an adequate replacement for gin. However,
the kids eventually raid your liquor cabinet.
Exactly. Well, exactly. But anyway, good on them for trying, and that's what sort of led to chocolate as we have it today. So, little nugget of history for you there. So, Jewish headgear, 12 down, 8 letters.
I got
I'm gonna
nothing.
Struggle with the spelling.
Or if you know something, because the only thing I know is a kippah, but that's not 8 letters long.
Oh, no.
Although the second letter of this is K. So what you got? Give us something, Theo.
I was gonna say a yarmulke, but that's something else, isn't it? And it doesn't fit.
No, a yarmulke is, but maybe my Quaker's wrong. That is possible, because I think a yarmulke is Yalmuka, I believe, yarmulke, and it's 8 letters long. So maybe my Quaker's wrong after all my quaking.
So hang on, yeah. Oh gosh. So you think yarmulke, just to reiterate, is Yalmukha?
Mulka, I think.
Yarmulke. Okay.
Yarmulke, but I don't know. I mean, a Quaker fits pretty well, so let's leave it for now.
Again, a descendant of Jewish people, I should have some idea what that might be, but
there's also the hats that are worn by Hasidics. There's the large sort of beaver fur covered, the ones that kind of look like hockey pucks, and then there's the sort of more top hat style.
But we don't know what they're called, do we? Oh,
I don't know
Rob.
what any of that's called.
Because I think it has to be Quaker. Let's test Quaker with 13 down.
Yeah.
Which is warm, 8 letters, second letter R.
Yeah.
Gosh.
So that could be too warm, or it could be warm as an adjective. I mean, yeah. Burning substance is 21 across, could give us a letter, 4 letters. I mean, I could only think of 2 things that would probably go there that off the top of my head, which would be wood or coal.
Yeah. And we've already got wood elsewhere, so why don't we go coal?
Oh, we have wood elsewhere, you're right.
Unless wood is the theme this week, and there are multiple answers of wood. That's of course
possible. Although there are very few 4-letter words.
Unlikely, but possible.
Yeah.
Okay, I can get us a definite. 18 down.
We need that.
The clue is 0.405 hectares.
Yeah,
4 letters, which is an acre.
Yep.
Ending in E. And that gives 22 across, which is all included.
Yeah.
The first letter of E.
And a second last letter of A.
If Guinea is correct. Now, I would assume this is everyone.
Oh.
Which would make Guinea wrong. But
yeah.
There's not another word, is there?
Could be every man.
Yeah, could be every man.
Every man for himself. Okay. Well, let's just check a crack hyphen prank. 4 letters. If every man or one is the thing, then it ends in E. Crack.
I'm assuming that's crack as in like in a wall rather than substance that,
yes,
can be imbibed.
Yeah, I mean, I thought a crack like a prank, like a joke.
Oh,
That's
yeah.
what I was thinking.
So joke, but does joke mean? I suppose you crack a joke, don't you? Yeah, of course. Yeah. Okay, 20 across. T set? Question mark.
Yeah.
8 letters. C blank O blank 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 N blank.
Now, could crockery?
Oh, yeah, that could fit. Now that would definitely
kill Guinea.
Rule out Guinea. I think we might have to kill Guinea, Rob.
That's okay, dude.
I think it's everyone.
I mean, the Guardian wouldn't say every man because the Guardian is slightly woke.
Well, quite. The Guardian wouldn't be so gender specific.
No.
So I think we should cancel.
Then what is an old 10p is 3 spaces R space N. I mean, there's a sovereign, but that doesn't fit. And I don't think that was really a
crown, a sovereign. What could go between the R and N? There'll be any listener over the age of about 55 is going to be absolutely livid with us.
Yeah, I know. Oh, I was so happy with my Guinea too, Theo.
Yeah, that was a good guess because it sounds like a.
I think I got something. It's not going to help us there.
Noise. Go on.
Oh God, this crossword is pissing me off, Theo. I've looked at a lot of the clues, and it's not an easy one. I wanted an easy one. Okay, get down to the nitty gritty. 4-6, and it's first letter is space. First word is space A and then 2 spaces. Second word is 3 spaces K space Y. Get down to the nitty gritty. I believe Thanksgiving themed or Christmas themed could be talk turkey.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a very American expression. We're going to talk turkey.
Is. Yeah.
That's a lovely guess.
Yeah.
And it does validate crockery and everyone.
It does validate them. So.
Okay, let's try and get this yawn of the town.
Yeah.
Because that really would help us.
Huge. It's 10 letters long, second letter U, and the 5th last letter, or the 6th letter, as it were, is a V. Yawn of a town. Could it be a town that has a synonym?
It's somethingville. Like...
Boresville or something like that.
Yeah. Boardsville or... Yawn... Not
Dullsville?
Obviously.
Dullsville?
That would fit.
Do you think that's an expression?
Yeah, gotta be.
Florin. Theo, Florin.
Florin? For our old Tempe.
Yeah.
That is old.
Yeah, it is old.
Florin. Wowza.
Yes.
So let me correct myself. I think any listener over the age of about 155 is going to be shouting at their yet to be invented yet radios.
How could you not have gotten that? Foolish man! I condemn thee!
Do you ever have this thing? Is this just me? Where you're in a place, as I was over half term in the south of France, and the Bosanquet, the original Bosanquets come from the south of France.
Okay.
And whenever I'm in that region, I'm always sort of minded to think about them. But I just love to imagine that hundreds of years ago, in this exact spot, somebody was standing, having thoughts of who knows what. And it sort of humanizes the dim and distant past in a way, just that active imagination. Just the act of standing somewhere, just evoking the idea that there were generations of people who've been on this spot, whose concerns were just as meaningful, just as valid, just as whatever important as yours are.
Yeah.
And one day we will be those sort of imaginings to a long-distant future generation. I find that
long-distant future generation, AI-powered human.
Oh, don't. Let's not. We're going to pin that. We're going to pin the subject of AI for a future episode because I think it needs a bit more space. But,
and I think we're the people to do it.
We're the people to do it, Rob, before our words inevitably get scraped by some algorithm. And actually, I'm not sure any algorithm would want our words, but we'll see.
No.
Okay, where are we now? Warm, which is 13 down, now has a second letter of R, a fourth letter of E, and a sixth letter of L, and it's 8 letters.
And then 2 spaces,
Because that could be thermal. No, it couldn't be thermal.
No.
If it's... Oh, gosh.
Yeah. I was looking at 23 across, which would give us the last letter of that word and the last letter of our Jewish headgear, which is active in one's later years, 4 letters long. And there's only one word I can think, but I can't make it fit and give me insight into this warm.
Go on.
I was thinking spry.
Oh, spry.
I mean, that's kind of exactly what that word means, isn't it?
Yeah, and I think it gives a final letter of Y to warm, which is makes sense. It gives the Jewish headgear a final letter of P. Goodness only knows what that could be. Yeah. We're gonna inevitably end up making up some words here, aren't we? We've got 10 minutes left, by the way. So.
Oh! Shoot! If Cole's wrong, Theo, it could be a skull cap.
Oh yeah! Why didn't we think of that initially?
So if we get rid of our coal...
Yes, it is skull cap. You're right. So it's not... I was too wedded to coal. This happens sometimes where you pencil a word in and then you sort of forget that it was only a pencil.
Yeah.
And you become very fixated on that. So well done for pointing that out. Of course, skull cap. Easy. 21 across, then burning substance now has a second letter of C, and it's 4 letters in total. So
yeah.
Oh, come on. I want to say like a
substance.
Not an acid, but a...
No, an acid.
Would an acid... Oh, yeah, because it burns. It does burn.
Yeah.
Of course it burns. It just burns in a different way.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. So now 13 down, warm is blank R, blank E, blank D, blank Y. So presumably that's D-R-Y at the end. Do we think? Super dry? No, that doesn't quite work.
Almost
and that's
works.
a brand of clothing.
Warm. Okay, well, look, why don't we go over to the left side where we haven't done any work, and we'll come back to that one. Maybe we'll get some insight by being away from it.
It could be many other letters, of course. It could be D-S-Y, D...
Yeah.
A-Y.
You're not willing to let go, are you?
I'm not willing to let go, but we must let go. No, we've got to move on. Move me on. Forcibly move me on.
Forcibly to 14 across, uncanny. It is a 6-letter word whose penultimate letter is K.
Freaky?
Ooh, I like that. Le fric, c'est chic.
Oh, it was so nice being in Paris and
I bet.
Walking around with my daughter who bought a beret. And she was walking around in her little blue beret.
I can picture that.
Ordering baguettes. It was wonderful.
Oh, lovely.
Sometimes really nice when you're in a country like France just to really embrace every stereotype.
Yeah. When I was in the Spanish cities over Christmas, I noticed a lot of men would wear these large, sort of nicely patterned scarves. And I became mildly obsessed with these scarves until I finally bought one in Granada. I bought myself a sort of Spanish man scarf.
Yeah,
I was very pleased with myself. Yeah.
It's like buying yourself a fez if you go to Morocco.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Think, why not?
Just something. I want to fit in some small way, even if that actually makes me stick out more.
Now, talking of travels, this clue speaks to my recent Eurostar experiences.
Okay.
2 down, railway carriage passageway.
Oh.
8 letters.
Yeah.
And it's 4 blanks, then I, blank, E, blank.
Yeah.
Railway carriage passageway. That's really specific, isn't it?
It is. It is.
Because you think of an aisle, don't you? An aisle, but
that would get rid of freaky.
Yeah, that would get... No, we like freaky. What is that? I didn't even know there was a word for...
It could be tricky as well for uncanny.
Oh, yeah, it could be tricky.
Because I don't like P space, F space for our... for pointer, which is 8 letters long with the 5th letter as a P from private eye.
So pointer could mean a finger or a...
Yeah, or a piece of advice, or one of those canes that you use to point at something on a chart.
Yeah.
I mean, a pointer is often is a piece of advice or a...
Or a dog. There's a dog called a pointer.
Yeah, that's really true. What about a jute bag, 4 across... One across 4 letters. A jute bag.
What's jute? Any thoughts?
Jute, it's a type of grass, I think, that you use to weave things with.
So a sack?
Could be, yeah. I don't love that.
And that would mean that pointer starts with S. What about 8 across costume? 4 letters. Could that be garb?
Yeah, or it could be suit.
Yeah. Oh, Rob.
I know. It's horrible.
So let's just to refresh listeners' memories. So we've got 1 down, pointer, 1 across, jute bag, ? 2 down, railway carriage passenger, 8 letters. We've still got this white, which is 4 letters, H blank C, and 13 down, which is warm, blank R, blank E, blank D, blank Y.
Yeah.
So obviously we've got to get all of these to avoid going even further behind in the scores.
Yeah.
And what do we do? Divide and conquer?
Can do. I'm just a railway carriage passageway. It's very...
It's weird, isn't it?
It's very specific.
Down the... What would you say if you were walking... I'm just going to go to the buffet car and walk down the
aisle, I'd say, but it doesn't fit.
Something way? Well, no,
Yeah,
because
maybe.
passageway is in the clue.
Yeah, it's true.
Oh, Rob. I feel like we've hit a wall here.
Yeah,
We've got 3.5 minutes to
definitely hit a wall.
to get these 6 clues.
Wow. This is pretty rough.
This is rough.
This is rough as guts. Maybe Theo, let's stop this one and we'll open up a new crossword at random and do it again and pretend this never happened. What do you think?
Just bin it. Entire episode.
Bin it.
This white thing is really
Yeah, I know.
bothering me actually almost more than any of the others, because it should be straightforward. H blank C blank, like heck or hack or
Hawk
or something.
I know.
What else could come after C?
Yeah,
I've been getting back into Wordle recently, having not really played it much since it first appeared on the scene, and this feels a bit like playing that. You're sort of tantalisingly close to the solution and just can't think of the word that fits.
Yeah.
And we've definitely got gazpacho spelled correctly, haven't we?
Yeah.
Unless it's gazpacho with a double Z, and then white could be hazy.
Could be. But I don't think cho would be with a... No, I think that's too far. I don't know. To me, that...
Yeah, that's a reach, isn't it?
Feels like a reach, yeah.
This could be, I hate to say it, Rob, but if we don't get any of these, this is going to be our most ignominious defeat to date.
Yeah. Well, look, let's just put some stuff in. You said sack for the jute bag. Let's put that in.
Yeah, stick that in.
So that gives us S space G space P for pointer. Sage. Oh, no. And for our rail carriage passes, right? Corridor.
Corridor, my God.
I know. Spooky.
What a weird clue
Spooky
for that.
for uncanny, Theo. Spooky
Okay.
for uncanny. Now we've got S space G space P space S space for a pointer. Sage pose.
Something post?
Signpost.
Signpost.
Nice.
Yes.
Okay, we only got 2 more, Theo. God damn it. So
1 minute.
okay, let's put stuff in. White, we'll call H space C space. We could put it like heck or hawk or hack. What do you like?
I mean, none of them, but I suppose hack. I don't know.
Yeah, I liked hack too. Okay, and now last one. Warm. Oh, come on. We're so close. Space R space E space D space Y. We've got to put something in. Okay, L-Y, I think. Let's just try that. Okay.
Spreedly.
Okay. So friendly.
Friendly. Oh. Okay. Now listen. We've got 16 seconds left. Is hack our best guess?
White. H space C K.
Hick.
Hawk.
Okay.
I
There's
put hawk.
The timer.
I put hawk.
Hawk.
I put hawk.
Okay.
Because I don't.
Hawk.
I don't know, Theo. Huck.
We've gone with Hawk. Executive decision. Let's reveal that one first, because that's going to be the one it hinges on.
Oh, Theo, I don't want to.
Really, really well done for finally cracking corridor.
Oh.
What a weird clue for that.
Putting sack in.
Train. You wouldn't say that on a train, for one thing.
No, and also it felt very specific, whereas a corridor is a very general word for a narrow passageway.
That's what I mean. Just a narrow passageway. You could have said. Anyway, right. Hawk is seemingly correct.
No.
Yeah.
No. What does that
Rob,
even mean?
That's
wow.
unbelievable.
That was just a stab in the dark. But what does that
Hawk.
even mean? White
Well,
hawk?
who cares? It was correct.
But hawk could be to sell something or to pawn something, no problem. In hawk, okay, but hawk for white?
Okay, I'm
What?
Googling it. Hawk. The joint, a joint of meat.
Yes.
Is one. Yeah, a knuckle of meat, especially of pork or ham.
Well, they say white knuckle.
I can't see anything relating. Oh, a dry white wine from the German Rhineland.
Oh, of course. Yes.
German.
Like Hochtaler.
It's German.
That's brutal. Because the word white in German is Weiss. I mean, this Hoch for white, that is a massive, gargantuan stretch. That's a terrible clue.
That is terrible. And, well, we'll scan down to the comments in a minute.
Dude, we may
have
solved this. I don't want to get ahead of ourselves.
Because, check all.
Well, Dullsville is one that's a bit speculative for sure. But I think the rest...
No, we're right.
No shit.
Rob.
I had no belief at all that we were going to solve
Miracles can happen on Two Across.
Wow.
And it feels very much like one has just happened today. Because we were, 6 clues out with 3 minutes to go? I think madness. So. Madness.
That, I think, Theo, was the best pulling of a rabbit out of our collective asses that I have seen on our show.
So in the comments, the first comment is from Hedgeblog, and they say 17A, what? And that's a reference to the Dullsville answer, which I agree with. I think that is... I've never heard anyone say Dullsville.
But by the way, great collaboration, because you got the Ville and I got the Dull. That was...
Yeah, true.
That was very nice.
Some WRC33 says 6D took ages to come. The rest was pretty nice. Good distraction from a boring meeting. Giving herself away there, or himself. And then Bokwaron says that's because 6D is a very poor clue. Now, which one is 6D? Yeah, it's Hock.
Yeah.
And it is a very poor clue.
Yeah.
It's a shambles of a clue.
It's a shambles of a clue.
But you made the right call. You absolutely made the right call at the end there. And, as you say, pulled it out of our collective behinds.
I can't take credit for that.
Crosswords done. That was fun. Now let's have a chat.
Now, Rob, I have some exciting news for you and all our listeners. Which is that our next guest on Two Across has confirmed he is available to join us next week. And that guest is, I'm afraid to say, another friend of mine, so I'm rather hogging the guest slots at the moment, but he is a very talented artist called Martin Aveling, who's specifically a wildlife artist and the painter of the amazing giraffe mural on our outside kitchen wall, which you have seen.
Yes, I have seen it.
He's, really interesting guy. He's got his hands full at the moment because they've just had their second child. So it's good of him to give us his time. But anyway, he's going to come on next week and talk to us about the world of wildlife and wildlife art and artivism, which is his specific area of interest at the moment, as well as help us solve the crosswords. So that's one to look forward to. Next week.
That feels very topical because artivism I'm assuming that relates to activism, is more important now than ever in our present
absolutely, especially in the field of wildlife and conservation.
Yes.
Which Martin is very heavily involved in. And will come and tell us about next week. So that's cool. I'm trying to think if there's any other sort of points of business that I need to raise.
I have some, Theo. Points of business, and I should have brought these up earlier. I did a little bit of research into 2 clues from last week's crossword. Would you like me to share them?
Yes, go on. Last 2 weeks.
2 weeks, right. 2 weeks ago. Sorry, everybody, that you didn't miss. There's no phantom crossword that you missed from last week. We weren't there. So, amok. The origin of that word, which I believe I'd said was potentially Indonesian or Filipino, it is Malay in origin. So the word means to lose control of yourself and behave outrageously violently.
Wow.
From the Malay word mengamok, which means to make a furious or desperate charge. And it was first observed by European eyes by none other than Captain Cook in 1770 in his observation of Malay tribesmen. And he used it to describe individuals behaving suddenly violently without apparent reason and then maiming or killing villagers and or animals.
Wow.
So it was just a sudden sort of some misfortune would often occur to someone, such as they would lose their spouse or something, and then they would just rampage and just go on a massive killing spree. And apparently, interestingly, the occurrence since the 18th century when this was observed in these groups, so then it was later observed by anthropologists or proto-anthropologists amongst people in the Philippines, Indonesia, what is now known as Malaysia, and other tribes. And apparently the incidence of it went down precipitously over the course of the 19th and 20th century to the point where it wasn't really observed anymore. But during that same period, incidences of violent rampages by lone individuals increased significantly in industrialized societies, as we see them,
there you go,
sadly, these days.
Because it always sounds quite innocent, doesn't it? Run amok. And like you're just, having a bit of a sort of frivolous bit of fun. But actually, that's quite dark. So it's like a frenzy, you might say today. Yeah. Or, a breakdown or a meltdown or something.
Yeah.
I mean, I was close to running amok on that Eurostar.
Yes, I would imagine.
Carriage, let me tell you all.
You would have been like a fox let loose in the hen party, just slashing and clawing in your frenzy. Yeah.
I don't want to have to relive my trauma.
No, fair enough.
And I hope they had a lovely weekend in Paris, no doubt, seeing all the cultural sites.
I hope Paris had a lovely weekend with them.
I'm sure it did. I'm sure it did. So, yeah.
Second point, Theo, a paean, and it is pronounced paean, like P-E-E--UN,
paean,
which is written P-A-E-A-N, and it is a song of praise or triumph often sung in chorus. It is in origin from the Greek, and paean was also apparently an epithet for Apollo. And in Homer, paean was a physician to the gods. So this is very much ancient Greek in nature, a paean. And I suppose, and I don't know this for a fact, that the Christians adopted that word also for a song of praise. But some listener can tell me if I'm wrong on that. So.
Gosh. There you go.
There's the mop-up business I had for us.
That'd be a good starter word on Wordle, actually. It's got lots of vowels in it. I currently use adieu, but...
I don't think it would sit amongst the 490 potential final words in Wordle, however.
No, nor does adieu. I'm never going to get that one. Well, look, we have reason to celebrate this week. We cracked the crossword finally. We're up to, what does that make us? 12-7 to the bad, to the poor.
7 and 12.
Nevertheless, it gives us a target. It gives us some semblance of hope going into next week with Martin. Well, so, yeah.
We have a third pair of ears and a third brain potentially coming at this with knowledge that we don't have, which Indeed. I think could be helpful.
Any animal clues, we're going to be laughing.
Yeah. Maybe it's going to be the zoologically themed quick crossword next week, and we're just going to smash it out of the park.
Let's hope and pray. If you're listening, Guardian Quick Crossword Setter, please bear that in mind.
Hopes and prayers.
There's a thought. Imagine if they were listening. They probably wouldn't, because we spend most of our time complaining about them. So
no. And they'd also then send us a cease and desist letter from their solicitor.
That's a legal case I would love to see.
Yeah.
Shall we call it a day?
Yes, let us send our listeners into the sunset.
Indeed. Enjoy your weeks, whatever they may entail. And thank you for joining us on Two Across, a podcast by Theo Bozaget and Rob Cole. Theme tune by Enthusiasts, which you can find on Spotify. And if you want to get in touch with us, you can on X at twoacrosspod or on Gmail, twoacrosspod@gmail.com. We always love to hear your feedback, so please do get in touch if you feel so moved. And take care. See you next time. Bye-bye.